this was, textbook lead out train, and also, incredibly done, especially by Mathieu van der Poel. What a difference compared to the first week when we had a few sprints and Alpecin did not get their lead out train right. This was really, that's how you, if you write a scenario of how to lead out a sprint, this is the way it should be done.
Hello and welcome to JB Squared as we go into the last week of the Tour de France, which is always a blip. The first week feels like an eternity. And then all of a sudden you lift your head up and you go, wow, this thing's almost over. I'm sure the riders don't feel this way, the same way. It feels like an eternity every single day. I'm JB Hager and I'm joined by Johan Bernil, and we're going to take a look at today's sprint stage 16, and what lies ahead. Before we do that, thank you to our title sponsor at HVMN, Ketone IQs. Using the ketones every day, everybody on the team, keep everybody sharp, doing all these shows, cranking out 4 shows a day. So a little shot. There we go. 30% off your first subscription order and a free 6-pack if you use this link, ketone.com/themove. There was not much to talk about except for the sprint. So, the only thing that happened was really a TV attack. A little bit, and
the first thing that happened, JB, until 93 kilometers to go, we had the intermediate sprint, which is still heavily disputed between Philipsen and Girmay. Who's the guy from Cofidis?
Coquard,
and then the lead tries to be in there. So we had that, and then typically the peloton slows down, and we had this one courageous French rider from Total Energies who went. Never heard of the name before. Apparently he was third in the French championships, his first Tour de France. He had never done a stage race which was more than 6 days before this race. And so he got a lot of TV time, which is interesting for that kind of team, at least. But we knew that it was not going to go anywhere. He had 2.5 minutes, and it was Alpecin and Jaco Alula who were setting the pace. So we knew. We already knew before the race, before the stage. I listened to a few interviews of sprinters, and they were all 100% convinced that there was going to be a bunch sprint. If that happens, that's usually because they know that their team is going to do the work, and they've also spoken already to other teams who have said the same thing. So guaranteed bunch sprint today. Because it was some of the only action, and that I think that Total Energies guy got like an aggressive jersey for the day. Yeah.
Whatever that award is.
Most aggressive rider.
I think on days like today, you know what they should call that jersey or award? The Hi Mom Award. Hi Mom.
It takes courage. It takes courage.
I know. Hey, I would give anything to be out there, so I shouldn't judge. Hey, before we get into Girmay and Philipsen, which is really the storyline today on a couple different levels, not only for the stage results, but for the remaining days, we were talking this morning on the move about all these teams that might go home empty-handed, which is a tough.
Yeah.
You were a director for a long time. You don't enjoy that, going home to talk to. No. But I wanted to give props to a couple names you just mentioned, because they're so close. Their teams are smaller, working hard, but that is Coquard, great sprinter, and Dely, great sprinter.
Yes. Yeah.
Very close, many, many times throughout this tour, but they're going to go home empty-handed, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But they're young guys too.
They're young. Coquard is not that young anymore, but it always happens, JB. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 teams or more that go home without any victory. Or how old is Coquard?
You're right. I'm sorry. I get people mix up. He's 32 years old.
32. Okay.
And it's still pretty fast. My bad.
He looks young. He looks young though.
But Deli is he's only 22.
Yeah. No, but now this week it comes to a point where we'll see tomorrow and the day after those two stages. We're going to see crazy attacks, desperate attacks. Everybody knows that it's their last chance, not just to be in the game for a stage, but actually to be on TV. It comes down now to, okay, guys, listen, we're not going to win a stage. You guys are all fucked. But at least let's show ourselves, right? And so the next two stages are going to be like this. And then it's just a matter of how hard the director pushes, how much authority he has, and how much the riders care. You get to a point in the Tour de France also where no matter how much you want it, you just don't have it anymore. Because to go out there in a breakaway, you still have to be pretty good, and there's not that many riders left anymore that are pretty good. So, but the next two stages are not going to be a walk in the park.
Now let's talk about the sprint. So, if anybody did not watch it, I think most people just looking at the results from this tour, they're mostly looking at Girmay and Philipsen.
Yeah.
And then Girmay crashed out on it was a tough run in. Yeah. And a lot of roundabouts. And then, even Lance said this when we were watching, because it was so close to the finish, they put up the barriers with the legs, and that's what they got pushed into. But quite often on those roundabout situations, those riders, if they get pushed out, they just bunny hop over it and they're fine.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. It took Girmay out. He didn't lose time because it was within the 3K, or they may have even done this one farther out, right?
Today was back to the 3 kilometer.
Back to 3K.
Yeah.
So now, okay, well, I'm going to get ahead of myself. Philipsen wins with an amazing lead out.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in more detail. But now we've got this points competition, which is very tangible for Philipsen to maybe come back. It's something to watch in these remaining days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen conflicting reports. I've seen Girmay goes down on one of those roundabouts. First of all, there was way too many roundabouts. If you look at the last 5K, I think there was 10 roundabouts in the last 5 kilometers. More importantly, there was three roundabouts in the last kilometer. They did a pretty good job in fixing one of the. So basically, they flattened it out, and the last roundabout, they did a pretty good job to make it as safe as possible. But I still cannot get my head around why they absolutely need to finish on that particular place, knowing that they have 3, 4, 5 roundabouts in the last 3-4 kilometers. Anyways, bad luck for Girmay. Independently of the crash, and that's always what happens. It was a relatively easy stage for everybody. Everybody knew it was going to be breakaway. Automatically, when they go slower in the beginning, they go crazy fast at the end. There was fighting for position until the 3 kilometer sign. We could see a lot of stress. Usually, the sprinters teams, but especially also the GC teams. Today, the difference with Visma and UAE was that Visma was keeping Jonas up there all the time until 3K to go, and Pogacar was kind of surfing the wheels, looking a little bit, sitting back a little bit. Not wanting to take any risk, and his team didn't either. So that was a difference compared to the other days, I guess. Also because if you have a 3-minute lead, it gives you a little bit more of a buffer, right? But anyway, getting to the last kilometer, we could see that some team, UNOX, did an amazing job for Christophe. They were fighting. I even saw our good friend Jonas Abrahamsson doing a very real headbutt against another guy. I have seen debates on social media that he should have been disqualified. It happens. I mean, as long as you keep your hands on the handlebars, It happens all the time. But as soon as we get into the last kilometer, we could see that, okay, this is Philipsen's race. This is, today, I think Alpecin did a perfect lead out. They had Gianni Vermeers until like 1K to go. Then they had Robbe Gijs. And then finally they had Mathieu van der Poel who really let it out. And, we can see here, I put this picture together. Especially because, with this kind of finish, with a few roundabouts in the last kilometer, having a lead out train like this is such an advantage, because you could see that, okay, first we have Robbe Gijs, who, first we have the UNOX guy just pulling off with 700 meters to go. Then Robbe Gijs, the third last guy from Alpecin, he goes till 550 to go. With 400 meters to go, Van der Poel takes over, and you can see here on this middle picture, that's already a line. It's a complete line, and from there on, okay, Philipsen's winning, because Van der Poel is going to accelerate here. On the next picture, until 250 to go, you see that it's already lined up. Everybody's sprinting in the wheel of Van der Poel, and Philipsen is still checking when he's going to go. Finally, with 200 meters to go, Van der Poel goes to the right, and he opens the road for Philipsen. Philipsen just needs to say, okay, the line is 200 meters again, full gas. Nobody came next to his wheel or even close to his wheel. He won like with 2 bike lengths. This was, textbook lead out train, and also, incredibly done, especially by Mathieu van der Poel. What a difference compared to the first week when we had a few sprints and Alpecin did not get their lead out train right. This was really, that's how you, if you write a scenario of how to lead out a sprint, this is the way it should be done.
Didn't we even see one where Van der Poel gapped Philipsen a little bit?
Yeah.
So I think Philipsen's come on stronger, and so is Van der Poel. I think both of them are really coming on in this final week.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Philipsen said that he has felt his condition grow in this Tour de France. I think, the same. It's the same like with Jonas, right? I think more than the condition was the confidence that grew, and not doubting anymore, choosing your right moment. But today when he went, there was no slowing down. You could see that the power was there until that very last pedal stroke. He was not dying to get to the finish. And if you listen to the interview of Bauhaus, who's second, he says, I have to be really happy with this result because there was nothing I could do. Philipsen was just faster. I was in ideal position. I couldn't even put my head out because if I put my head out, I got all the wind and there was nothing I could do. So, third stage win for Philipsen. What started as a tour with doubts, and he got his sprints wrong, and everybody was starting to say, he's not as fast anymore. He is fast. 3 stage wins. Last year was 4 stage wins. This year 3 stage wins. Winning more than 1 stage in a Tour de France is a huge accomplishment. And now he wins 3. The question is now, what's going to happen with the green jersey battle, right? I think that's one of the interesting things that it's left. Of course, the yellow jersey battle. I think we can expect some attacks still from Jonas, but bummer for Girmay, because he goes down. He got to the finish. He was pushed by his teammates. He's a bit hurt. He got stitches, I heard. It's going to depend on tomorrow how he wakes up.
He did. You could see a cut on his hip. But in his post interview, you got a couple stitches in his elbow, and he said he hit his knee pretty hard. That could be the kind of thing that you wake up to a much bigger problem than you realize.
Yeah, especially because the 2 next stages are hard stages. Now, the advantage for Girmay is that he is in great shape, and that normally he should be a bit better on difficult terrain than Philipsen. So I think that both of these riders will try to go in breakaways for that first intermediate sprint in the next 2 stages. If Alpecin tries to control the race until, I mean, tomorrow, for example, tomorrow is, it's super difficult to control the stage, because the first sprint is after 115 kilometers. There's only one intermediate sprint, but it's not an easy terrain to control. It's a lot of work for normally. I mean, if they make it a sprint, Philipsen could win, but Girmay will be second or third. So it doesn't really bring anything. So I was saying, I've heard some conflicting interviews. The team management says we're going to go full gas now for the green jersey. Then I heard Philipsen and Van der Poel, and they said, we don't want to really win like this. Plus, it's still 32 points, and the points, it's only going to be the points at the intermediate sprint. So it may be a difficult task. I think Van der Poel, in his mind, his tour is done already. He's not going anywhere anymore. So he's happy with his form. He said he tested his legs a few times, was happy with how he felt, and he's, focusing on the Olympics.
I'm assuming you saw this because you always watch the post-race interviews, but even Girmay said that the green jersey is not important to him. Did you catch that?
I did not.
And then that may not have been the exact words, but he said, I think he said the green jersey is not important. What's important to me is getting to Nice. Probably after he hit the pavement, right? If you go down and you could have, like, anybody who has ever crashed a bike, and you know this, obviously, you don't know the damage at first, right? Yeah. All this stuff goes through your head, and the adrenaline's rushing. Even when you go to the line, with your teammate, you just don't know what the damage is. And that's what made me think he's saying, because he's got 3 wins. It's this Eritrean history. It's a great story. To be ashamed not to go.
The green jersey is important.
I know.
if it's especially now, so close, knowing that there's no more sprint stages. Okay, he wins 3 stages. That's amazing. But I mean, winning the green jersey, that's it's already historical what he did, right?
Yeah.
But taking the green jersey, I think it's really important.
I know, but it's one stage win of Girmay is an amazing story. And just that, it may have just flashed through his head like, oh my gosh, I might not get to finish in Nice.
Let's now, I mean, I'm just thinking about something now, JB. I mean, like, imagine, of course, the crash of Girmay, that's an incident of the race. You cannot avoid that. It happens. Let's go back to the first week and let's imagine that particular day Philipsen does not get relegated. He's in green.
Oh gosh, that day we said, wouldn't it be a shame if that becomes a differentiator? I forgot about that. It's going to
come down to those points.
Oh,
because I think he lost 50-something points there.
It's coming back to haunt him. It's just such a small thing.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Good point. Anything else from today or looking ahead to tomorrow? We do have Ventum Trivia and a couple of good emails.
Nothing else. I saw that some guys were really happy to have an easier stage. But most of the guys are just, they're just looking towards getting to Nice now. There's a lot of people. Like it's typically JB. The first week, you see that these sprint stages and everybody and the final 5K, everybody hangs on, right? Like now you see the pack of the peloton. People are just getting off and to the back because they just don't care anymore. They just sit down.
Yeah, they've been working hard and they just want to get there. Did you ever participate in a tour that did not finish in Paris as a racer?
JB, it has never not finished in Paris. It's the first time in history.
And of course, it's because of the Olympics. But that's interesting.
Yeah. Huh. The Olympics start in 10 days, by the way.
Yeah, and the Giro has changed it up where it finishes. Okay.
Yeah, the Giro finish. Yeah, the Giro changes it. Sometimes Milan, sometimes Rome. It has finished in other. Yeah, the Giro has had different finishes, but the Tour never.
And the Vuelta
usually finishes in Madrid. Usually, but I've done Vueltas that did not finish in Madrid.
Okay, where did it finish? The one you did
in Galicia, in Santiago de Compostela.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look that up. Ventum Trivia. We're going to give away a brand new NS1 road bike on the last day of the tour, which is the end of this week. The question from Sunday was, what city and country was Bradley Wiggins born? That is
Ghent, Belgium.
Ghent, Belgium. Yeah. And then the next question for today is a little insider, but I think you can find it in a Google search. Matthew Riccatello is a rising star in the pro peloton. His dad, friend of the show, by the way, Jimmy, was also an endurance athlete. What notable event did he win during his triathlon racing career? Jimmy Riccatello. I'm sure if you Google that, you'll find it. Send the answer to ventumracing.com/themove. And also through the end of this month, 20% off on a brand new Ventum. All right. If you go to ventumracing.com, 20% off, and use the code TheMove20 when you check out. You get 20% off your brand new bike. Here are a couple of questions. First one from Keith. He says, thanks for a great show. My question is Tade's new coach, Javier Sola, primarily responsible for his improved performance this season and in the Tour de France? If so, in what way has his training changed that you know of? That's Keith in Cape Town.
Yeah. Well, we all know he changed the coach. I think, by the way, Almeida and Adam Yates did the same thing. I think I'm not sure if they're with Javier Sola, but they did change coach. The former coach was a Spanish guy living in the US, by the way, Inigo San Milan. What I've been told is that before this off season, Pogacar was mainly focusing on the majority of his training was zone 2. Mm-hmm. Always zone 2, a lot of zone 2. For this season, he has changed. He's done more intensity. He's done a lot more higher intensity, and also very long training on very long climbs above zone 2. The result is there. I mean, it's a big change. If you remember, if I go back to our podcast about Strade Bianche, when Pogacar came back into the competition after last year, this guy's on a different level. This is not the same guy. He's just so much better, and he's done the same throughout the whole season. So, something he has done differently must be working really well. And I've been told it's higher intensity on longer climbs.
And tell our audience, say you're a decent rider, but you ride on the weekends with big groups and stuff. You like to do big rides. What is zone 2 for a typical athlete? Say they have a max heart rate of 190.
Zone. I mean, it depends. It depends on everybody, but a good way of zone 2 is an effort that you feel it's not going very, very easy, but you can still have just on the limit of having a conversation in full sentences. Mm-hmm. As long as when you have to start talking in single words, or wait, I'll tell you the rest when I get to the top. That's not zone 2 anymore.
You should be able to converse.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Another question here from Lucio. It says, hey guys, longtime listener from the original Stages pod. Always great to get the insights of the team at the Move. Just wondering what Johan thinks about the following. UAE seems a much better team and unit since the departure due to Juan Ayuso. Is it just me being a conspiracy theorist, or was he a bit of a disruptor in the team? That's from Lucio in South Africa. And I wasn't going to do that question, but I got several that are very similar. Like, was it good for UAE to send Ayuso home? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, first of all, he abandoned because he tested positive for COVID, right? So I think that he felt the symptoms, he felt the consequences of COVID because he was riding pretty well for himself, and then all of a sudden he lost on that particular stage when Jonas beat Pogacar. He lost 7 minutes there, so they didn't send him home. He had to go home because he was sick. One thing is for sure is that they don't seem to miss him. Mm-hmm. They're strong, and the 6 guys that are there are strong enough to support Pogacar and are strong enough to control the situation. I mean, going as far as saying since he's gone, the team functions better, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think, we all go back to stage 4 when Ayuso was, there was this incident with Adam Yates and with Almeida, that Almeida called him to come to the front. I think that the road would have put him in his place, and the situation of the whole race would have said, okay, hey, Pogacar is by far the strongest guy. We need to all be behind him. I keep saying, this is not so much an issue of the cyclist. We all know that Juan Ayuso is a great cyclist. He has a huge potential. I think that there was not a clear enough message to him before this race, and then from the team management, I would say, and there you could argue, when he's Spanish, he's probably one of the preferred riders of Machin, who's the sports manager, and maybe he's not clear enough towards Juan Ayuso. That's just me saying that from a distance, right? I don't know what's going on within the team, but that would be my take on things. But if he would have stayed in the race, I mean, after the next mountain stage, he would have been in the position of Almeida or Adam Yates or Sivakov. He would have done his job. Otherwise they would have sent him home on purpose. So I don't think that, there's 7 strong riders, 6 of them at the service of Pogacar, and they're just going for one goal. And usually when you have the yellow jersey and you see that the leader is so strong, these guys are going through a wall for him. They're going to kill to do their job.
I know on a previous JB Squared, maybe probably a couple of years ago, I asked you if you ever sent anyone home because they weren't playing well with others. The answer was yes. We don't have to revisit that right now. But as a director, did you ever have to pass on a rider who physically absolutely should have gone to the Tour or another Grand Tour, but you knew mentally they weren't going to be in domestique mindset and it might be a problem? And so you said, just don't take them.
I've made those decisions, based on what you just said. Yeah,
but physically they would have been a great asset if they were willing to work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. That's unfortunate. Did they know that's the reason why?
Back then, probably not. I don't know. I mean, I haven't had those discussions anymore with them since then, but I had to make those kind of decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough role. He's not going to spill anything on us.
Oh.
That was me putting my journalist hat on, trying to get you to say something dirty. I wouldn't do that. I won't do that to you. Hey, send your questions in. This is the last week you get to ask Johan everything, and we need to have you on the move.
Well, there's a spot now, right? I mean, there's a free spot because Bradley has gone. So
we need to do it. He's rumored to be coming back.
So let me know when he comes back so I can get on before he comes back.
Maybe we can do it tomorrow. We do have a guest at the very end of the show, but we could. I'll send a note to Lance and George. I think tomorrow would be a good day.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Great. Again, send your questions for Johan, the move@wedo.team, and we will be back tomorrow. Thank you, Johan.
Okay. Thanks, JB.